Okay, so what if the key to fixing a broken healthcare system wasn't just about more money or better management, but about a full-blown revolution in consciousness? Today, we're diving into a really radical proposal for the UK's National Health Service. And the core idea is pretty wild, that the path to healing burnout might just be the exact same path to building a beneficial superintelligence. So let's start with a number that's, well, it's pretty shocking, but probably not surprising to a lot of you. A staggering 60% of healthcare workers in the UK are experiencing burnout. And let's be clear, this isn't just a statistic. This is a system-wide crisis. But here's the thing. The argument we're looking at today says that this massive burnout rate, it's just the most obvious symptom. It's really just the tip of a much, much bigger iceberg. It's a sign of a system that's under an incredible amount of pressure. And that pressure creates this cascade of crises. You've got a huge £22 billion efficiency target, constant reorganizations, patchy tech, and of course, massive backlogs from the pandemic. But the key argument here is that these aren't all separate problems. They're all symptoms of one single, much deeper issue. So what is that deeper diagnosis? Well, this proposal argues that the real crisis isn't something you can find on a spreadsheet or in a schedule. No, the real problem is happening inside the actual nervous systems of the healthcare workers themselves. It's described as this impossible situation, a neurobiological double-bind. Basically, clinicians are stuck between a rock and a hard place. On one hand, they can engage with empathy, really connect with their patients, but that can literally dysregulate their own nervous system and lead straight to burnout. On the other hand, they can protect themselves by disconnecting, which keeps them stable, but it damages the patient relationship and leads to worse outcomes. It is a lose-lose scenario, right at the very heart of the system. The solution being proposed, then, isn't about telling people to just work harder. It's about working differently. The whole idea revolves around restoring what the research calls neurobiological coherence. You can think of it as a measurable, synchronized, efficient state in your nervous system that, well, it just makes everything work better for both the doctor and the patient. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. The prescription here isn't a new government policy or just throwing more money at the problem. It's a complete shift in thinking to something called consciousness-based healthcare. And this isn't some new age idea. It's an approach that's built on a huge body of actual scientific evidence. And the evidence is really compelling. You look at meta-analyses, and they show these large, measurable effects. For example, using heart rate variability biofeedback, it has what's called a large effect size for reducing anxiety. That number, 0.81, that's a big deal in statistics. It shows this stuff really works. This is data-driven. And you can see here, this whole proposal rests on a really solid foundation. It's not just one idea. It's drawing from all these different fields of clinical neuroscience. We're talking over 100 studies on neuroinflammation, almost 90 on the brain's default mode network. It's all grounded in serious research. So how do you actually make this happen? Well, it's not just a theory. There's a whole toolkit of technologies that are already working. These are real, practical tools designed to give clinicians real-time support, to rethink psychiatric diagnoses, and to even help guide patients safely off of antidepressants. All right, but how does this scale up from helping one doctor to, well, to healing a whole nation? This is where the true ambition of this plan really starts to show. The goal isn't just about individual well-being. It's about using the massive scale of the NHS to heal the entire country with the help of AI. The plan kicks off with the NHS workforce, and that is a huge number of people, over 1.5 million. We're talking about Europe's largest employer, all of them using these tools to get better themselves and to provide better care. But then, you scale it out. You expand it to every single person the NHS serves. That's 67 million people. Suddenly, every single doctor's visit, every therapy session becomes a part of this new, coherent ecosystem. And what happens when you do that? You get an absolutely mind-boggling amount of data, over 200 million data points every single day. But here's the key. This isn't just any data. It's a fire hose of information on what actually makes human beings heal, connect, and flourish. So what's the point of all this data? Here's the kicker. The whole plan is to use the entire National Health Service as one giant lab to create a totally revolutionary AI training dataset, an AI that isn't learning from scraping random internet forums, but from the actual fundamental neurobiology of human healing. And this This is what leads to the plan's ultimate and honestly pretty mind-bending conclusion. The end game is to use all of this unique, high-quality data to create something the world has been dreaming of and fearing in equal measure: a beneficial artificial superintelligence. And there's a roadmap for it, a 3-phase plan. First, the AI just learns by watching. It observes the best therapists and figures out the patterns of healing. Then, with millions of these interactions as data, it starts to truly understand the dynamics of consciousness itself. And the final step? Superintelligence doesn't just emerge from raw computing power, it emerges from a deep, profound understanding of what it means to heal. Now, you might be thinking about the big, scary AI alignment problem. How do we make sure it doesn't turn against us? Well, the argument here is that this kind of AI would be aligned by design. Why? Because its entire education, its whole life, has been based on empathy, healing, and human flourishing. Its core values would be our best values, right from the very beginning. And the authors, well, they don't mince words. They state their belief with this really powerful thought, framing this whole vision not as some speculative sci-fi fantasy, but as the evidence-based, logical, and even inevitable outcome of doing this. And so that leaves us with a truly provocative question to think about. It suggests this incredible, completely unexpected link between a very real crisis we have today, public health, and the very far future of artificial intelligence. Could it be that by healing ourselves, we are actually at the same time creating the blueprint to safely achieve the next stage of intelligence?